UFC 276 is rapidly approaching, and I know I have not made a UFC video in a long time, and I apologize for that. But I want to keep making videos, so I'm here, and we cannot start with title fights. So let's start with a fight I have a very close eye on because it does have major future title implications in the 185-pound division. We have Sean Strickland facing off against Alex Pereira. They both want to go in there and scrap and brawl. Alex Pereira, I would say, is the more refined striker of the two. However, Sean Strickland does have an attitude to him, a grit and grind to him, and that could make a difference in a fight of this caliber. It's 3 rounds, 5 minutes each. We all know the rules of UFC. That's why we're watching the sport. But if I were to make a decision right now, I would take Sean Strickland based off his experience in the UFC. Although I believe Alex Pereira is the better striker, Sean Strickland does have a good wrestling game that he doesn't use because he wants to stand and bang. But it is something he can fall back upon at any moment, and he should take advantage if he finds himself back against the ropes and needing to clutch out a victory. He can go about doing that with his wrestling. That's not something Alex Pereira has available to him. So I'm going to take Sean Strickland, although I would love to see Alex Pereira face off against Israel Adesanya for the 185-pound belt if Izzy can retain at UFC 276. Everyone's coming up with this conclusion of Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya. Let's see that fight. Let's see it. Let's see it. Pereira's the last person to beat Israel Adesanya in a kickboxing match, knocking him out cold. Yes, I understand Jan Blachowicz did beat Israel Adesanya in MMA. However, that was a 205-pound weight class, not 185. So it is definitely a matchup a lot of people have their eye on, including myself. But we got to get there first. But give me Sean Strickland in this one. I think he will win the match, and I think he will go on to fight the 185-pound champion, whoever that may be. Let me know what you guys think. Are you going to go with Sean Strickland here? He's been talking a lot of trash. He seems very amped up for the game. Seems like he wants to battle. I got to go with him. I don't think Alex Pereira has it in him. If he shocks me, I'd be very happy myself. But give me Sean Strickland. Let me know what you guys think. We have a very interesting fight in the women's division where we have Misha Tate facing off against Lauren Murphy. And if I'm going to be honest, I'm taking Lauren Murphy here. I know she's the favorite, and it's for a good reason. I mean, come on. She came off of 6 wins in a row. The only loss she had was against Valentina Shevchenko, who I don't think anyone could beat. And I know you could say Valentina Shevchenko may have lost her last fight. Hey, she ended up winning. She defended her belt, and she's arguably one of the greatest women fighters of all time. Her, Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg are the big 3, all right? If you had a big 3 of women's fighting, those are it. But you got to go with old Lauren Murphy here. I know she's 38 years old. I know she's not getting any younger, but she's a very good fighter in her own right. She has good knockout power mixed with a great submission game. I know she doesn't use it offensively. However, Misha Tate relies heavily on her submission game. Lauren Murphy is a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She is very good at defending against submissions and has never tapped once. She has lost in decision 4 times and 1 time in knockout. So if I were to put my money anywhere, it would definitely be on Lauren Murphy for this fight. I know a lot of people love Misha Tate. I know Misha Tate was a great fighter back in her prime around that 2015-16 era. She retired for 5 years and then came back. She's 1-1 since her return. But this is another level of competition she's going to be facing. Her loss was against Ketlin Vieira. Now she's going to move on to Lauren Murphy. I just don't see Misha Tate pulling this off. And I know one of my friends has been telling me Misha Tate is going to shock the world and how much he loves Misha Tate. But I don't see it personally. I see it completely going to Lauren Murphy. I think it's going to be a decision. After 3 rounds, I think it's going to be 29-28. I think Misha Tate will win a round. I think Misha Tate may come off out of the gates well, but I think Lauren Murphy's going to settle in, and she's going to win the fight in the long run. That's how UFC 276 is going to start, with a Lauren Murphy victory by decision. The last fight I'm going to be talking about in this video is the Battle of the Old Heads. Cowboy Cerrone is facing off against Jim Miller. And I know these two guys are big fan favorites, and they have been fighting for years and years and years. This fight did get put together on short notice, of course. Cowboy Cerrone was supposed to fight first on May 7th against Joe Lozon. That fight fell through. Cowboy got sick, I believe, prior to the fight. And then they were supposed to fight, I believe, June 18th. And that fight fell through as well. This time it was on Joe Lozon's part. He, I believe, suffered an injury due to weight cut. So Cowboy wanted to fight. He doesn't want to waste these weight cuts. I mean, at his age, it is very difficult to make the weight. So you only have so many. There's a finite amount of times you can cut that weight to be ready for competition, and you don't want to waste them. So he said, hey, Jim Miller, I see your fight fell through with Bobby Green. Let's meet up. UFC 276. Let's have a fight. Let's get paid together. And that's nice to see. But if I had to make a decision, I want to go with Cowboy Cerrone. I think Cowboy has a lot of skills and a lot of aptitude that he can still utilize even at his advanced age. And I think it's going to be a fun fight, to be honest. I think it's going to be a brawl. I think it's going to be very interesting. But I want to go with Cowboy head kick because I am a Cowboy homer, and that is personal bias as to why I'm going with Cowboy Cerrone. If you want to go with Jim Miller, that's completely fine. I would disagree with you heavily. I think Cowboy is the better fighter at this stage of their career. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a scrap, and people are going to get bloody. But I would like Cowboy. If this is it, I want to see him go out on top. If this isn't, let's keep the train rolling, baby. Let's go.